What if I told you I've discovered a way to get easier lobbies in Warzone without having to use any third-party software, without having to do any of that sneaky behavior like reverse boosting or anything like that, but just by playing the game normally and making sure you do one simple thing? Personally, I've been super annoyed at how difficult my Warzone lobbies are for quite a while now, and I just thought it was because a lot of the less good Warzone players weren't playing when I was playing, and there were lots of people who were getting really good, like the average player skill is getting better and better at Warzone, whereas I was probably stagnating in all that time that I was playing DMZ and zombies all of the time. But then I'd watch some content creators who seemed to be getting super easy lobbies, like enemies in their lobbies weren't really reacting when they were getting shot, they were standing still out in the open, they were sniping while mounted up, so were perfectly still. It just seemed really, really bizarre. And obviously you could accuse them of doing all of those sneaky things, like VPNs, geofencing, reverse boosting, that I didn't want to do. So I just thought I was kind of stuck with the lobbies I'd got. But then today, something weird happened. I came onto stream and I decided to do something a little bit different in Warzone, and in my first game, I managed to drop 19 kills. 19 kills, that is by far my personal record in Warzone. I think my previous record was 15, and that was way back in Warzone 1. So for me, that was an insanely high kill count. And while the enemies in my lobby didn't seem like they were completely stupid, they definitely were a lot easier to kill. I was winning a lot of one-on-one gunfights that I don't think I would have won in a normal lobby. Like, I was making mistakes, sometimes I'd run out of ammo or be really out of position, but then it just seemed like the enemies weren't able to kill me. And while I'm sure there's a few of you already typing your comments saying, this is engagement optimized matchmaking, the game was giving you an easy game to try and get you to keep on playing, that didn't seem to make sense, because I play for like 4 or 5 hours every single day. It would seem super weird if, across the last few months, it had decided to give me one easy game, especially when I had actually done something a little bit different. So, am I going to make you wait absolutely ages until the end of the video to tell you what's going on to increase my watch time? No, I'm going to tell you in a second, but I would like to say first, please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to leave a like. Also, follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Geeky Pastimes. I stream both there and here on YouTube at the same time now, so you've got a choice of where to watch me, and I'd like to keep that Twitch channel going, so any support over there would be much appreciated. So here we go. How did I manage to get an easier lobby today? And I actually managed to do it like 3 or 4 times in one gaming session today. I played different modes. That's really it. Over the last few weeks, I've been playing exclusively Battle Royale because I've been trying to get better at the game, and you can't see your stats or anything like that in Resurgence. I don't really like the Resurgence maps at the moment, Ashika and Vondel. I'm just kind of bored of them. So I just didn't want to play them. I wanted to play on Urzikstan, so I was playing the normal mode. Today I decided that I was going to practice being really aggressive, and Resurgence seemed like the best way to do that, just to get in lots of gunfights. And so my first Resurgence game, after playing weeks of Battle Royale, was so much easier than my Battle Royale games have been. Then, after a few games, it seemed to settle down again. I was back to getting the same number of kills as I usually do. It seemed like maybe it had worked out where I was at, and so my level had kind of equalized again, and the enemies seemed exactly the same as they were in my Battle Royale games. Then I went over to play a Battle Royale game, and that was much easier than my previous Battle Royale games had been, and the Resurgence games were. Just by changing the mode, it seems like it had almost reset my statistics tracking. Then, after a few games, Cobb came on, so I thought, let's try Duo's Resurgence. Did you know that Duo's Resurgence isn't on Ashika and Vondel? It's actually on Urzikstan, but like smaller versions of the map. I had no idea, so that was a pleasant surprise. But we went over to play some Resurgence, immediately won the first game. By changing modes, again, we'd got an easier game. And then we had a bunch of bad games in a row. We really struggled with a few of them. I think I had like 5, where we kept trying to do hot drops, but I died every time. Like 5 games with no kills. And then I ended up on the game that you're seeing now, where I managed to get quite a lot of kills, and we ended up doing really, really well in this game. So it seemed like playing Resurgence then, it went back to that kind of idea of maybe engagement optimized matchmaking, where we had a good game, then we had a bunch of bad games, then we had another really good game. So what could be going on here? Why would this work? Why would changing modes seemingly reset your skill-based matchmaking or engagement optimized matchmaking or whatever you want to say? I think what it comes down to is that the stats for these different modes are tracked completely separately, and I'm guessing that's somehow used by the matchmaking system. I've always thought there seemed to be that kind of effect where if you hadn't played Warzone for a few days, when you went back to it, you would get a really easy game to begin with. But it seems like you can almost trick that system just by playing another mode for a few games, then switching back, it seems to just completely reset everything as if you haven't played Warzone at all for a while, almost like it's kind of a clean bit of health. I'm almost wondering if, and this is pure speculation and could be way off, I could be completely wrong here, but I wonder if, because the stats aren't tracking for the games, the skill-based matchmaking system is looking at it and saying, hey, you've played a bunch of games where you've got no stats, you haven't got any kills or anything like that, but you are playing games because it's looking in the wrong place. You know, it's looking for Resurgence or it's looking for Battle Royale. So when you join the other mode, it's almost as if you've played a bunch of games and got no kills at all, so it thinks you need a much easier game because you're much worse than you really are. Again, this is pure speculation. I've got no idea how the matchmaking really works, but that seems to make sense, because it did seem to be a marked difference whenever I switch modes. So my advice to anyone who is finding themselves really struggling in Warzone, really having kind of put through the ringer, having a bunch of bad games in a row, just switch modes. Play a few games of Resurgence if you're playing Battle Royale, or vice versa. I wouldn't be surprised if it also worked with things like limited time modes or with Plunder, something like that. And actually, Plunder is a limited time mode now, which I thought they said it weren't going to do that. But anyway, that's a different discussion. Yeah, it seems like just by changing modes, you can possibly reset the skill-based matchmaking and get a slightly easier game. Now, what I like about this system is that it doesn't seem to be doing anything tricksy. You're not cheating anyone, you're not playing in a different way you normally would, you're not using any third-party software or hardware or anything fancy like that. You're just playing the game normally and just adding a bit of variety into your play session, which probably isn't a bad thing anyway. Also, it didn't seem to go to a real extreme of putting me in like what people call a bot lobby. Like, I was still having to really try to win a lot of the gunfights. It just felt like maybe I was in more of a normal lobby, more of an average lobby, rather than a really, really difficult one with lots of really good players. So I don't feel like it's taking advantage of worse players or anything like that. Maybe if I had like loads of those 19 kill games in a row, then I would start thinking this isn't really fair on the people I'm playing against. But I only had one of those games, so I don't think it's too bad. So, I would like you to try and help me out. Try to do this. Play some Battle Royale games, then switch to Resurgence. Play some Resurgence, then switch to Battle Royale. Just change things up within a play session, and let me know in the comments below, did it seem to make the games easier for you? Did you get a few of those easier games thrown in when you changed modes? Because I'm kind of willing to bet that most people, when they sit down to play Warzone, decide they're either going to play Resurgence or they're going to play Battle Royale. I think a lot of people just play Resurgence or just play Battle Royale or, you know, just play Plunder or whatever. I think that's pretty common. So I'd be super interested to see if people, just in general, haven't really tried doing this before. I know I hadn't. I hardly ever switched between modes. And it did really seem to make a difference. And I think now what I'm going to do is if I start having a run of really bad games where everyone seems really difficult, I'm just going to switch modes and see if that helps. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it interesting or just entertaining, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing for more, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye. GG!
That was all you, 10 kills. Nice.